Hello, this is TurboDog702 for the Castlevania Symphony of the Night Any Percent tutorial. In this section of the tutorial, I will be showing a rather new version of the Richter Skip that was discovered. To my knowledge, it was discovered inside of 2014. It's currently the best Richter Skip that I'm aware of that we use inside of the RTA. It beats out the BAT version by about 4 seconds. It is noteworthy, however, that this particular version of the skip has a bigger downside if you miss it. If you miss it, you lose pretty much all the time that you would have gained on it. It takes about 4 more seconds to go to again. And even you don't really even get a free chance at it, which I'll kind of show off. So let's go ahead and get back into it. So I'm capturing from an XBLA right now, but this will work on the PlayStation version as well, just as easily. So basically what'll happen is, well, let's just go up here first. So what you need to do in order to set up this trick is you need to break that block, which leads to the upper hidden area. You do not need to drop the staircase, but you do need to break this brick. After this, you need to set yourself up in a very particular position. This should be about fine. I'm going to try to go for it. I'm still not perfectly practiced in this, but I'll give you an idea of what it's supposed to look like. So that time I missed it. This time I hit it. So how do I know that I hit it as opposed to not? Well, you can see right now that I've broken the screen, if you look to the top of the screen, like I would have with the BAT version of this skip. Also, you'll notice that the camera is centered on Alucard right now. Like if I jump, it follows him and stuff. Normally, if you come to this section, it'll actually center on the room. Like I'm going to set it up again. See how it's centered on the room now? But after you do that, it's pretty much the exact same way that you would do the BAT version of the skip. I like to jump. Like once the screen's broken, you're just going to wing smash through the Richter scene and, you know, press start or back if you're on XBLA in order to skip the cutscene. Something noteworthy, once you know that you hit the trick, personally I like to run and jump off of the top of here a second time, like you saw me do. You could technically just run, jump, and turn into a bat while you're up in the air. I like doing the second jump because I feel like it sets up my positioning better. Because otherwise, if I didn't do that second jump, hold on. Like I'll try and do it right now, and you'll see kind of immediately. So I do it, I jump off of there and turn into a bat. The reason I do this is because the bat gets the momentum of the wolf run carried into it, so you're not really losing too much time doing this as opposed to going straight into bat. And I get past this pot. Getting past this pot makes it so that I don't pick up the heart refresh that's inside of it. Or the heart max, rather. And it puts me at about the right height to be able to wing smash through and get to the next part of the castle. So, the reason that I say that you don't get to do this for free is once you jump and fail, then you're in this room, and even if you break the switch here, when the stairway comes down, it's going to come down slowly, so you'll lose even more time. So it's really kind of an all-or-nothing thing. You're either going to go for it or you're not. Personally, I wouldn't go for it unless you're really starting to push good times, like maybe sub 1840, sub 1830 is when I would start doing this. I just find the BAT version much, much easier and more consistent, and it's better if you miss. If you miss, it's much faster to be able to set back up with the BAT form. Okay, so I went into it. You want to get... There's about 2 or 3 pixels that work for this trick, and they look kind of similar. I'll show you those in just a moment, but I'll go mechanically real quick over what's happening. So what I'm doing in order to do this is I'm doing a wolf run and basically jumping immediately after I do the forward input. So it's like forward, forward, and jump at the same time. This is different than normal casting of spells. I've mentioned in previous videos that when you cast spells, you want to do the last input afterwards. So let's say if you wanted to do a Hellfire, which is up and then quarter circle forward and attack. A lot of people have trouble because they would do up, quarter circle forward, and then forward plus attack. Normally with spells you want to do forward and then attack. This is an exception. In this, you literally want to press forward and jump kind of at the same time. The reason you want to do this is we are trying to get a running jump, but not a full speed running jump. You notice that as the wolf accelerates, he gets shadows that follow him. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a version of the run before he gets the shadows that come behind him. Otherwise, we're going too fast and it's not going to work. So basically, you want to do forward, forward jump, so you would get a very, very slow run like that, and you should be able to jump through and get the break. What happens if you don't do it correctly? You get that. And you notice there was shadows after it. That means that I was going too fast. Maybe I wasn't pressing it correctly. Play around with it. There's no great way to do this. You just kind of got to get a feel for it. The other thing that I'll mention is the positioning. The reason why we do this specific positioning is if we're too close, we're going to be too low to be able to skip the trigger right here. And if we're too far back, you'll notice that the wolf kind of like pops up a little bit when it reaches the top of the stairs. So not only are we going too fast at that point, but we're also unable to jump, because when we're in the air like that, from that little pop-up, we can't do a jump command. Like, see, like I tried there and it wouldn't let me. So that's the basics of how this works. So just real quick, why it works is because it's the same principle that we were using for the previous wolf relic skip. You're just skipping the trigger that's about here. If you look, see if I'm on that side, it isn't on me. If I'm here, it's following me. If I'm on this side, then it's locked on the room. And if I was just to kind of walk, you could see I almost break the screen there, but you don't quite move fast enough when you're just walking. You have to do a running jump. But that's the basic principle, is we're trying to do a very precise jump that goes over it. There's about 2 pixels that work, so you get maybe like 2 frames, actually, that this will work on. But it's still a rather difficult trick. So I'm going to go ahead and put up the frames that I've seen that kind of work. Okay, so the top 2 frames here are the ones that I've seen that work consistently. The third one at the bottom I've seen work, but it's been very inconsistent, and it might have just been luck that it worked the way it did. You'll notice that for the top images, both of the wolf's front paws are flat on the top of the staircase. The one on the bottom, you can only see one paw at the top of the staircase, and that's usually a good indicator. The other thing too is you might want to see the distance that the paw is from the staircase. Like if you look at Alucard's left paw, which is the one that's closer to the camera, you could maybe get an idea of where that is positioned on the ground below him, and that'll give you a better idea of how to set this up as well. But the basic principle is you want to have both of those front paws on the top part of there, but not too far. Okay. Another thing that I've seen people do in order to hit this is, I believe Control-Alt-WTF said that he looks at this, like before you transform, and he's looking for Alucard's forward foot, like the toe on it, to be lined up with the gray pixels that are next to it. Can't really point it out with this setup, but hopefully you can see that. Basically, there's some light gray pixels underneath his toe that he looks at in order to set this up, and that kind of shows him that he's in the right place. See, like this was just a tiny bit too far back. The reason I knew that was a tiny bit too far back is you notice how, even though both of the paws, like you can see both of the paws, his foot's kind of hanging off. I really don't like that. I like to be a little bit forward. See, this is a little too far forward, I think. So you're really splitting hairs here with this positioning. The other way that I've seen people set up for this, keep in mind that these aren't really setups. These are just like pixel alignments. We're really just looking and hoping that we get the best. The one that I do is a little different. I don't try to line it up at the top there because I think it just takes too much time. What I do is when I'm jumping out of here from Karasamon, I'm looking for a visual cue right here So let me go ahead and see if I can capture my mouse here. Give me one moment. Okay, so what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the background right here. You'll notice that there's an embellishment here. Like kind of a, I don't know what to call it. It's like two spearheads or something sticking out of one another. What I want to do is I want the bat's ears, or the pointed part on his head, I want the bat's ears to be somewhere in this area. The way I look at it is there's the point here, and then it kind of flattens out here on the triangle or triangular shaped thing. I want to be in the section between that, so kind of in between here with the bat's head. So for example, this is just a little bit too far to the left. It could debatably make it, but it's kind of close. This is too far right. Okay. And it's a really, really precise thing, but basically you'd be coming out of here, jumping up, kind of getting as close as you can and looking. See, this time I'm too far to the right. That doesn't mean that I need to sit here and readjust. If I did that, I would waste a lot of time. This is pretty good, where I'm at right here. So what I would do is I would come up here, I would see where I'm positioned, and based on where I'm positioned at, I would do one wing smash going upward. Like I do a wing smash and hold up, and that'll take me up here. And because I was positioned correctly, look at that. That's a really nice pixel position for that. Now, if I was too far, say, to the left, then once I did a wing smash up, I would have to realize that, break that, and then know that I have to move left some, kind of like that. And then I would go from here. Obviously, if I was too far right, I would go right some. But that's the basic principle of it. Again, I wouldn't use this unless you're looking at maybe like an 1840 on Xbox Live Arcade. It's a pretty difficult trick to do, and it could easily kill your runs if you miss it a couple times, especially compared to the bat version of this skip. That's going to do it for this video, though. This is TurboDog702 for the Castlevania Symphony of the Night Any% tutorial.